Our next writer is Sena Naslund, who served as Kentucky Poet Laureate from 2005 through 2006. Sena is the author of 9 works of fiction, including the critically acclaimed national best-selling novels Ahab's Wife, Abundance, a novel of Marie Antoinette, and Four Spirits. Her works have been translated into German, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Hebrew, Polish, Danish, and Greek. A resident of Louisville for over 40 years, her most recent novel has both a Louisville and European setting, The Fountain of St. James Court, or Portrait of the Artist as an Old Woman. She was the first director of creative writing at the University of Louisville, where she later became distinguished teaching professor and writer in residence. She co-founded the Spalding University Low Residency Master of Fine Arts in Writing program, Kentucky's first MFA in writing of any kind, where she is currently program director. Her awards include the Harper Lee Distinguished Writer Award, the Hall Waters Prize, the Southeastern Library Association Award in Fiction, and grants from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Kentucky Foundation for Women. She's also the recipient of an Al Smith Fellowship from the Kentucky Arts Council. Please join me in welcoming Sena Naslund.
Thank you, Laurie. It's lovely to be here with all of you in this beautiful Kentucky springtime, and especially to be here with my fellow poet laureates. We were asked to speak of something about the literary arts that particularly pleased us, and I'll take a moment to do that now. 15 years ago, if a person in Kentucky wanted to pursue higher education at the master's level in writing, any kind of creative writing, that person had to leave Kentucky. There was no MFA in writing program in Kentucky. 15 years ago, we started a program at Spalding University for not only Kentuckians, but people from all over the United States and the world to come to. Following that, an MFA program was developed, also low residency at Murray State, and one was developed in Richmond, Kentucky, at Eastern Kentucky University. At Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, there is now an MFA in writing program, and the University of Kentucky has begun a small creative writing program at the MFA level as well. So I think it's something we can all be proud of, that there are now 5 programs when 15 years ago there were none. I think that these programs give people the opportunity to develop at the most advanced level, and they're there available, one kind or another, for everyone. They certainly do benefit the writers who come to those programs. Speaking of the Spalding program, we've had 700 graduates or current students, and out of that group, over 400 books, films, and plays have been produced. So Kentucky was among the first to really develop in this way among the states with low residency programs and other programs. I'm reading a little bit today from my novel, The Fountain of St. James Court, or Portrait of the Artist as an Old Woman, which Laurie mentioned already. The book is set in 2 different time periods in 2 different places. The Fountain of St. James Court, in fact, refers to Louisville, Kentucky. It happens to be outside my window, and I let my character have some of my furniture and other things, although of course she's not me. And then the other character is the painter Elizabeth Vigée-Lebrun, who was a survivor of the French Revolution. And the part I'm reading to you is a little bit about her life and her marriage. By the way, there's a huge show at the Metropolitan Museum right now featuring paintings of Elizabeth Vigée-Lebrun. This is in her voice. As soon as we were married, Monsieur Lebrun asks that we keep the marriage a secret, for he is engaged to the daughter of a Dutch dealer in fine paintings with whom he is conducting a business arrangement involving a good deal of money. He asks that I agree to silence about our marriage until the business can be completed. I choose to comply. While the marriage is a secret, and yet the possibility of it is in the air, several friends come to visit me while I'm with my mother in her apartment. They speak urgently in front of her, and indeed Aubert, who's the crown jeweler, is my mother's friend as well. To me, he says, "It would be better if you tied a millstone around your neck and jumped into the river than to marry Monsieur Lebrun." My mother blurts, "Why?" And the jeweler tells us, "My already husband is a gambler and loses large sums of money." My mother gasps. We are visited by some more of our friends. One, without giving her reason, states simply, "You must not marry Lebrun, for he will make you unhappy." Again, my mother covers her mouth with her hand and struggles not to burst into tears. As soon as they leave, I take my mother in my arms and say, "There is no need to worry. I have my painting. As long as I can paint, I will always be happy." And I am sure that is true. All the more reason to throw myself into my painting, my marriage. My happiest hours have always been those when I stood or sat in my chair before my easel. My husband receives all my commissions, as my stepfather did before, which is his legal right. He has great need of the money, for he not only gambles, but he also has an uncontrollable passion for extravagant women. His gifts to them are the fruits of my labor, as well as his sales through his shop. I refuse to be bitter. I prefer to accommodate myself to the truth and not to have illusions about my marriage, which is finally announced and the deal is done. Unlike my stepfather, who was a pain to live with, it is no burden to be in the presence of Monsieur Lebrun. He has an obliging nature. Not only is he pleasant, he is in fact kind of one makes exceptions for his gambling and philandering and the subsequent disillusionment. His manner and indeed his nature are a mixture of sweetness and gaiety. I refuse to hurt myself by harboring either bitter disappointment or low jealousy. I vow to appreciate what is best in him. We have discovered that Monsieur Lebrun does not own this mansion we live in. He's a mere lodger, like my family, though he led my mother and myself to think Loubert was his. To augment my earnings, which are now very considerable, from my portraits and other paintings, my husband asked me to take on some students.